Welcome into Steelers Talk Yinzers. My name is Jack Sperry. Today I'm answering all of your burning questions surrounding the black and gold. But first, before I get into today's awesome questions, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We have been growing like crazy, guys. We added over 1,000 new subscribers last week. We are now the fastest growing Steelers channel on YouTube, and that is for a reason. So if you do me a favor right now, click that subscribe button. I promise you, you will not regret it. Let's get into today's questions. First one comes from Austin Tardif, a $20 super chat. And he says, trading back in the first to 21, grab Branch. Trade back from 32, take Washington. Trade up from 49 and grab Trenton Simpson. So the three players that you mentioned here. Brian Branch. I like Brian Branch a lot, man. He is a Swiss Army knife. Out of all the players that I have evaluated for the NFL draft in my young career, the only players that have been as versatile as him are Minkah Fitzpatrick, like Isaiah Simmons, and like the list is incredibly, incredibly short, man. And I think that grabbing a guy like Branch and putting him with a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick would do wonders for an already really, really good Steelers defense. So I'm all the way on board getting Brian Branch there in the first round. Then trade back and get Darnell Washington. Love that as well. Bringing in a blocking tight end to pair with Pat Freiermuth, I think would be a really good move. Now, Trenton Simpson. I think that he kind of stinks at football, if I'm being completely honest with you. He's got all of the things that you look for physically. He is rocked up, giggity, and then he's got bad instincts on tape, man. Like he's always in the wrong gap in run protection. Like he's got slow instincts in zone coverage. He doesn't stick with receivers well in man coverage. He's a decent blitzer. I'll give him that. He hits hard. He's kind of the kind of guy that like has the mentality of a Steelers linebacker, but there are so many other linebackers in this draft class that I would rather take. Jack Campbell, Dion Henley, Dorian Williams. There's a bunch of good linebackers to choose from. Personally, I'm not the biggest Trenton Simpson guy. Now, next up comes another one from Austin Tardif here, who says, I really want that jersey. I know you do, Austin, man. You're starting to flood the market too, man. Really appreciate you. For those of you that are watching this at a later day, we are recording this during our Steelers Talk live show. So we're actually giving away a Kenny Pickett jersey. So if you're watching this, it's already too late, but appreciate the support, Austin. Next question comes from Dominic Schrader, who says, worst case scenario, all four options at tackle are gone, top four corners are gone, and Branch. No Kazee or Addison. Do we trade back or best player available? Trade back. 100% trade back. Get some more draft capital. Find somebody that actually fills a need, in my opinion. There's some guys that they could take there. Lucas Van Ness, if Nolan Smith from Georgia's still there, they could take an edge rusher if they really want to. But personally, if I was Omar Khan, and I was in a scenario where all the good offensive tackles are gone, all the cornerbacks are gone, no Kazee or Addison, I'm trading back, getting a little bit of a haul, getting an additional pick, and then drafting according to my board and what this roster needs heading into 2023. Next question comes from Steeler Nation, who says, should Steelers trade their first for Marshon, Lattimore, and the Honey Badger? No, they shouldn't. I think this defense is already really good. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick is arguably the best free safety in the National Football League. They have one of the best pass rushes in the National Football League. I think this defense is already really good, and I think that first-round pick would be better spent elsewhere, whether that be getting a guy like Broderick Jones, getting a left tackle, whether that be getting a guy like Brian Branch, whether that be getting a guy like Jordan Addison. I think that this pick could be better spent getting some younger talent and getting some of those rookie contracts. Next question comes from Dan the Pitt fan, who says, was re-signing Larry Ogunjobi the right decision given the amount of D-line talent in this year's draft class? So I think that this one's a tough one because I like Larry O. I think he's a good player. But like he wasn't fantastic last season. Now, he's always dealt with injuries. He's constantly hurt, and that's another reason why someone could argue that this wasn't a good signing. But, I think that time will tell when it comes to this signing. If he stays healthy, he can be one of the best 5 techniques in the National Football League, and at about $10 million per season, 3 years down the line, that looks like a steal for Omar Khan. But if he keeps getting hurt, if he keeps underperforming because of those injuries and he continues to regress, then it looks like an overpay, and it doesn't look good for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let me know in the comment section what you think about Larry Ogunjobi right now. Was re-signing Larry O the right move for the Steelers? I know this is a contentious point in Steelers Nation, so let me know in the comments right now. Type Y for yes or N for no. This is the pinned comment on today's show. So here's the deal, guys. YouTube, they're going to throw an ad break at you just the way it is. Might as well take advantage of that time. Go in the comment section, answer today's question. Next question comes from Robert Sadler here, who says, if they draft tight end early, then in my opinion means that Pat Freiermuth moves to second string. So I think that when it comes to this one, I don't think that it would be a situation of first string, second string. I think it would be two players getting a lot of playing time. We know for a fact that Omar Khan, Mike Tomlin, Matt Canada, they're trying to build a power run game in the city of Pittsburgh right now, smash mouth football. And a good way to do that is to go into 12 personnel, which means 2 tight end sets. So if you get a guy like Darnell Washington, you can have that road grading type blocking tight end. That's also a pretty good receiver, by the way. And you can have Pat Freiermuth, who's more of a receiving tight end, keep defenses on their toes, force them out of those nickel packages, force them into their base formations more often. And I think the Steelers can control the pace of the game a little bit better. So I would say it wouldn't be a situation of first string, second string. I think that would be more 1A, 1B. Next question comes from Siglo, who says, if we pick up an offensive tackle in free agency, we're going to get a cornerback or strong safety with the first pick for sure. And with 32 pick, that's defensive tackle or defensive line. I would tend to agree with that. If they address offensive tackle in or in free agency, that is, if someone like maybe a Devin Witherspoon falls to the Steelers at 17, which isn't impossible, even though I think that would be a steal at 17, but man, Devin Witherspoon would be a great Steeler, brother of Ahkello Witherspoon, actually, really great player. But, I mean, there's a ton of good players. They could take Joey Porter Jr. there in the first round. They could take Deonte Banks if Joey Porter's already taken. Like, I would really love Brian Branch. If they're going to take any defensive back in round 1, it would be Brian Branch. That would be my number 1 pick because I don't think Witherspoon or Christian Gonzalez gets to you at number 17. But I think that cornerback, strong safety would be good there. And then in second round, defensive tackle, D-line. I mean, I think it depends. I think they're really going to be looking at Jack Campbell. If Jack Campbell's there at number 32, I think they'll probably take him because they need coverage linebackers right now. Like, that's one of their major needs after free agency so far. So I would say definitely defensive tackle and D-line, outside linebacker as well. They will get addressed this offseason. Just not sure if it's going to be that early. Next question comes from Steeler Sam, who says, with Minkah and Kazee both usually playing the free safety spot, who will end up playing strong safety if the team doesn't sign or draft one this offseason? Now, this one's a tough one because he's right. Minkah Fitzpatrick and Damontae Kazee usually only play free safety, and right now they're the only 2 starting quality safeties on the Steelers roster. Now, it makes more sense to go with Minkah Fitzpatrick at strong safety. He's a little bit bigger, right? But the thing with Minkah is that the reason why he asked for a trade out of Miami is because Brian Flores and that Miami Dolphins staff wanted him to play box safety, strong safety. And he knows his skill set. He knows that he's a free safety. He's a ball-hawking free safety. He's the best at it in the National Football League with the possible exception of Budda Baker. But, I mean, you look at Damontae Kazee, he's only 174 pounds, man. That's not the size of a strong safety in the National Football League. So it's looking to me like if they don't add a strong safety, it will be Kazee at free safety with Minkah Fitzpatrick playing more of a strong safety role. But I'm not sure if what I think will probably happen is they'll probably do more 2 high safety shells, and they won't really bring Minkah in to the box too often. It'll probably be more like cover 2, cover 4, cover 6, where Minkah is still being Minkah, playing deep, all that kind of stuff. But I really think that there is a chance that the Steelers add another strong safety here this offseason, whether that be in free agency or in the draft. But let me know right now what you think in the comments section. Will the Pittsburgh Steelers add another safety this offseason, or do you think they're set? Type 1 if you think they will add another safety, or type 0 if you don't. Next question comes from Not Webbs Road with a $10 super chat here, and he says, hasn't been a lot of Kalijah Kancey talk. Is D-line still a concern? Because I like Thule out of USC. I'm biased a little bit. because he smacked that guy at the combine. You didn't pull up my other question. Did we not pull up the other question? Oh, we did pull it up. Okay, so hasn't been a lot of Kalijah Kancey talk. So the reason for that is I think that they were targeting Larry Ogunjobi to play their 5 technique this year, and they ended up getting him. They re-signed him. So after that, Kalijah Kancey, unless you want to convert him to an outside linebacker, which at this point he's just too big to be an outside linebacker at 280 pounds, there's really nowhere to put him on the D line for the Steelers unless you want to bench him, which I think is extremely unlikely. I don't think that they will use a first-round pick on someone that they're going to bench. I don't think they pay Larry Ogunjobi what they pay him if they don't intend for him to start. So Kalijah Kancey, one of my favorite players in this year's NFL draft class, but likely won't be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Next up here comes from Ben Mills, $20 super chat. And he says, how many TDs do you think George Pickens gets this season? I want him on my fantasy team. If I'd have to pick a number, I'm going to say 12. I think that he's a really good player. I think that he's going to become one of the best red zone threats in the National Football League. And I mean, as he showed last year with his downfield catches, I mean, some of the catches that he made were just absolutely incredible. I think that he's going to, I hope, Matt Canada targets him more in the red zone this year, and he ends up getting double-digit touchdowns. He's certainly talented enough to get that number. All right, guys. So we got a $10 here, $10 super chat from Daryl Oglesby. Really appreciate you, my guy, getting that $10 super chat in there. And Yinzers, go ahead and like this video right now if you are a real one. We've made it to the end of this week's mailbag. Really appreciate everybody getting their questions in. If you made it to the end, that means that you are a real one. You are a true Yinzer, a real friend of the show. So identify yourselves right now by clicking that like button and do your part to help out Steelers Talk Nation.